Hello ladies and gentlemen, the Top Hat Gaming Man here, and today I have decided that I am going to be talking about the Nintendo Wii and discussing whether or not that the platform is in fact underrated. Now you may perhaps think this is a strange deduction to make, when you perhaps could consider that the Nintendo Wii is one of the best selling games consoles of all time. The thing bloody sold like hotcakes. There was a time period in history when Nintendo Wiis were in practically every living room everywhere. Like most people's bloody nans even own Nintendo Wiis. They was around that much. However, something went very wrong down the line, and that was, it was a fad. People appeared to get bored of the platform because many of the people who bought these systems weren't actually gamers to begin with. They were just a bunch of fools jumping on a bandwagon who got, they wanted their little piece of motion control action, I suppose. Despite this strange tangent, I still believe the Wii to be one of the greatest Nintendo systems of all time. In fact, scratch that, I view the Wii to perhaps be one of the very best gaming consoles, full stop, of all time. However, I don't think everybody feels like that, so Luke, you come over here. You've got some strange opinions on the Wii,
okay.
So come and share them with me.
Okay. Well, again, what you said is completely true. The Wii outsold the PS3 and Xbox 360.
Yes, it kicked its competition's arse in terms of hardware sales.
I can't remember exactly how many million units, but it was a lot.
And the fact is, the Wii sold all those units in a really short time span as well.
Yeah.
So whereas the PS3 and the Xbox 360 caught up a bit later, they've done it over about 10 years rather than doing it all at once, which is
the thing
the outrageous thing about the Wii.
But I think the thing that I found most is that the PS3 and the Xbox 360, from the day that they came out, they sat next to people's TVs up until, for 8 years. They sat there quite happily, and you just kept on going back over and over and over again. But with the Wii, that didn't happen. Where did most people's Wiis end up? Like within a few months of buying them, Rich?
I think in a lot of living rooms they probably did stay. They stayed under the television, but a lot of them just gathered dust and were used on the day they bought the platform, and then they never used them again.
And they ended up in lofts and in garages
and they're everywhere these days,
back in their cardboard boxes. The only reason that they got any kind of real revival was when people actually started hacking the system and using it as emulation. For a lot of people, I
will say for a lot of people, yes. The majority of people who bought Wiis barely played them. Yes. And I'd say that's got to be the majority. And that's why I believe it's underrated. Yeah. Because I do not believe that most people gave the Wii the time the platform perhaps deserved. Although when it first popped up on the market, games like Wii Sport and Wii Play were extremely impressive. Like I said, they hooked in people into gaming you would never have imagined going near games consoles. Yeah. So
they legitimately had these in care homes.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, which is insane. And
something what I found quite amusing the other week as well, I went to the Cambridge Centre for Computer History, and it's basically got all sorts of microcomputers, games consoles, everything all set up, like over a number of years. And I saw actually a group of perhaps 10-year-olds playing the Wii Sport in there, and they were having such a good time. They were really enjoying it. You could see the excitement on their little faces, and it actually dawned on me. The Wii came out 12 years ago now, so in all likelihood, that was probably their first ever experience with the platform. So it was really fun to see that Wii magic from 2006 all over again with a whole new generation. So that's what I mean about being underrated. So we all laugh at motion controls, but when you see people experiencing these motion controls for the first time, that's an exciting thing.
Yeah, see, I had a problem with the motion controls though.
On day one?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
My immediate thought of the motion controls were, yes, they work really, really well for a handful of games. But they very quickly started being forced on you in other games.
I will agree. Nintendo have got an awful habit of forcing the motion controls into games on the system. Yeah. And almost as if they tried to innovate too hard sometimes. Like, it felt like, and Nintendo, it feels like they still do this to this day. They try and innovate simply for the sake of innovation a lot of the time. It's almost as if they're being pretentious.
Yeah, I mean, games like Wii Sports work very, very well with the motion controls. Obviously, Mad Dog McCree.
But then we talk about something like, what was it called? Legend of Zelda. What was the first one called?
I have
Twilight Princess.
Okay, yeah.
It was already a GameCube game, and then they just released it and tacked on motion controls on the Wii. It didn't need motion controls.
No, it didn't. It worked.
It made the game
fine.
worse.
Yeah.
Like, it literally made it worse. And then by the time something like Skyward Sword came out, which could only be played with motion controls, it was even worse than the game before that. And it's a shame, because Skyward Sword should be a really strong game. But it isn't, because of motion controls.
Yeah, it's completely true. I mean, I'm not going to touch on this too much, but I am going to mention it really, really quickly. Is the fact they did very, very similar with Breath of the Wild on the Switch. That had motion controls.
It did have motion controls,
right? But they didn't force it on me, and I never used them.
Okay.
So I would prefer to play a game without the motion controls. I really
would.
would.
Completely agree with you. And I think this is what people will overlook as well. And this is what we've talked about this over on Top Hat Chat. The core demographic of gaming, they often discredit the Wii somewhat for being nothing more than a system where you could enjoy Wii Sport and playing motion control games. The system is a lot depthier than just motion controls, and that's what I think people fail to miss out on. Like, I've actually gone onto my shelf and compiled this big list of games which are all really, really fun and not the sort of games you would expect to be played in a care home.
Okay, do you want me to pull out a few of these now?
Yes.
Okay, so if I
let's
just
go through. Let's try and go through this quick.
Okay,
we'll do it together. Bit Trip Collection. That's a collection of indie games. You don't use any motion controls for it. So it's these really fun indie games, which was originally released in the Wii shop. They stuck them all on one disc.
Lovely. And
released together. Fantastic.
Okay.
The Last Story. Hold this for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah, okay.
And Pandora's Tower, a trilogy, well, not actually a trilogy, but 3 absolutely fantastic RPGs which were all released in the West as a result of Operation Rainfall. They're all amazing RPGs. I don't think there's any motion control in them whatsoever. They're just exactly the sort of games you would expect to find on the Xbox 360 or PS3.
They do look nice, actually.
They are so good. Like, they're ridiculously good, especially these two. Last Story and Xenoblade Chronicles are perhaps two of the best JRPGs I've played in my life. Again, Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2.
Considered better than Sunshine.
Most people consider these to be the best Mario games, 3D Mario games at least, what have ever been made. So if you want to play the best ever 3D Mario games, you need the Wii. That's the system you've got to go for. Klonoa as well. This is a remake of the one on the PS1. Really strong game on the PS1. Yeah. They completely graphicked it up, basically. Yeah. Again, no motion controls needed. Fantastic.
Decent overhaul. Metal
Slug Anthology. Yeah. So basically a ridiculous amount of Metal Slug games on one disc. No motion controls.
Okay.
It's a great gaming system. This one has got motion controls. I don't know why it's even in the pile, but it's a decent addition of Mario Kart.
Again, that was a decent way of using the motion
controls.
Though,
it wasn't a wasted effort, and that's what I mean.
Okay.
And again, a great way of using motion controls. Mad Dog McCree, a full motion video game, and where you used it as basically a light gun. So again, it's a great use of it, which is different. Again, this is motion control as well, but used in a good way. Zack and Wiki, a puzzle game, essentially using the motion control in a point and click style.
Okay.
So that works, doesn't it? In fact, why wasn't there more point and click games on the Wii? Were they just out of fashion? Because that makes sense, doesn't it? Point and click for the Wii, fantastic idea, and that's a way that motion control should be implemented more.
There we go.
Metroid Prime Trilogy. So basically all 3 Metroid Prime games on one disc.
Makes sense.
The reason why it does make sense, but the thing what's so impressive about this, Nintendo these days are really stingy and they just re-released one title and charge you £50 for it. Back then they hadn't caught on to this yet, so they were being more generous with their helpings. So you got 3 games for the price of 1. That's amazing. You would not get that today, would you?
No.
It wouldn't happen today.
Not at all.
Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, again, not really a motion control game. It's just Fire Emblem, and this, to be fair, is the last ever console Fire Emblem game. Since this time, they've only appeared on handhelds. So this is the ultimate console Fire Emblem.
Is the one on the Switch?
No. There's Fire Emblem Warriors, which is a Dynasty Warriors style game.
Okay, I haven't played it, so I thought
brilliant. Another motion control game, actually, Boom Blocks. This one's made by Steven Spielberg. It's very, very, very good. Bit like Jenga, but it works very well. Do you know what I mean?
All right, okay.
It is very good.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
New Super Mario Brothers, just Mario platform, but you can't go wrong with a bit of Mario, even though it's a bit oversaturated these days with 2D platformers. This was only the second new Super Mario Brothers game. So, good.
That's fine.
Kirby's Adventure for the Wii. Again, they've made a lot of Kirby games with this graphical style now, but this was the first one made with this graphical style. Very, very strong 2D platformer again. Okay. Tales of Symphonia, Dawn of the New World. Another Wii U JRPG exclusive, and a very good one at that. No motion controls either, I believe. Donkey Kong Country returns. This was the first Donkey Kong Country game after the run of games on the Super Nintendo many years before, and it's just as good, if not better, than any of the Super Nintendo offerings. No motion controls again. So, yeah. No motion controls. Fantastic. Okay. Kirby's Epic Yarn, a game with a very, very unique art style, and I don't think there was any motion controls either. Really solid 2D platformer. Okay. So 2D platformers, that are not the sort of game you would associate with grannies in care homes, is it?
No, you're completely right, yeah. Okay.
Little King's Story. This one does have a bit of motion controls in, but for me, this game is literally Pikmin on steroids. It's so, so good. It's like, it's brilliant. And I think this is the most underrated game of all time. I will go that far as to say it's the most underrated game that's ever been made. So we're talking about the Wii being an underrated platform. This is the most underrated game. Because I'm sure you can pick this up for about £3.
Really?
And you'll get about 40 hours of entertainment out of it. It's so good. In fact,
that's not bad.
It's amazing. I love Little King's Story. Sin and Punishment, Successor of the Skies. Okay. So this is a rail shooter, which is the sequel to Sin and Punishment, which was a Japan exclusive of a Nintendo 64. Okay. And perhaps the most sought after Nintendo 64 Japan exclusive in the West. This is the game everyone wants to import. This is the sequel that came out on the Wii.
To be fair,
and also very good.
Just the front cover that makes me want to play it.
And also, for the first time since the Super Nintendo, and the last time since the Super Nintendo, well, the last time since the Wii, we got a Punch-Out game. And a really good Punch-Out game. The best Punch-Out game that's ever been made.
To be fair, I played that. It's good.
It's so good. So, how can people not love the Wii U and write it... The Wii. The people write off the Wii U as well. Yeah. How can people not love the Wii when it offers this ridiculous level of entertainment? How can it just be wrote off as a motion control system?
To be fair,
that's so unfair.
I came in trying to be a bit opposite to you, because again I didn't enjoy the Wii, but the amount of stuff that you've thrown at me legitimately makes me want to change my mind.
Exactly, it's so good. Like, why? It's really unfair that the Wii just gets wrote off as no more than motion controls just because they screwed up, in my eyes, some of the big titles like Zelda and stuff like that. So yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the comment section what you think of the Wii. Are you one of the people who looks at the platform as no more than a motion control old people's home device? Probably not if you're watching my channel, because I think most people are gaming connoisseurs, wouldn't you say, if they're here?
I think at least most will know what they're talking about.
Anyway, so let's hear your informed opinions on the Wii. That would be lovely. Yeah. Cheerio!